What does it mean to be free? Today, freedom seems obvious. We talk about freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of choice. We assume we know what the word means. But for a few centuries in Europe, philosophers were trying to answer a much deeper question. Are you free because nobody rules you? Because you can vote? Because you have rights? Or because you can govern yourself? The Enlightenment shifted the question of freedom from heaven and the soul to society and politics, and three thinkers, John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and Immanuel Kant, gave three radically different answers. Together, they helped create the modern world, and they still shape how we think about freedom today.
The Enlightenment asked, forget theology. What about political freedom? John Locke gave us the idea that would spark revolutions. You have natural rights, life, liberty, property, not because a king granted them, not because you earned them, because you're human. And government exists to protect those rights, not to give them. If government violates them, you have the right to overthrow it. This is the freedom the American Revolution was built on, the French Revolution, every democratic uprising since. Freedom as political independence, self-governance, no tyrant, no master. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Except, of course, they didn't mean all men. Slavery continued, women couldn't vote, the free was still very few. Freedom, again, was exclusive. Rousseau saw the problem. Man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains. We think we're free, but we're enslaved. To society, to inequality, to systems we didn't choose. Real freedom, Rousseau said, comes from the social contract. When we collectively decide the rules we'll live by. You're free when you obey laws you helped create. This sounds good, until you realize, what if you disagree with the majority? Rousseau's answer? Then you're wrong. The general will is always right, and if you resist it, we'll force you to be free. Force you to be free. Let that sink in. Freedom, in the wrong hands, becomes tyranny. Every dictatorship in history has claimed to represent the people, to embody true freedom. The Enlightenment gave us political freedom and political terror. Because once you say freedom is the highest value, who gets to define it? But one philosopher thought he'd solved it.
Immanuel Kant looked at all of this. Stoic inner freedom, Enlightenment political freedom, Rousseau's paradoxes, and said, you're all missing the point. Real freedom isn't doing whatever you want. That's not freedom. That's slavery to your impulses. And it's not just following external laws either, even if you voted for them. Real freedom is autonomy, self-rule, giving yourself the law. Here's how it works. You have two parts, your rational self and your animal self. Your animal self wants pleasure, comfort, survival. It's driven by desire. Your rational self can step back and ask, should I do what I desire? Or should I do what's right? When you act on desire, even if you get what you want, you're not free. You're being controlled. By impulse, by external circumstances, by your biology. But when you act according to reason, according to moral law that you've rationally endorsed, that's freedom. Because you're not being controlled by anything outside yourself. Not desire, not authority, not circumstance. You're governing yourself according to principles you've rationally chosen. Kant calls this the categorical imperative. Act only according to rules you could will to be universal laws. Not what do I want, but What should any rational being do in this situation? When you do that, you're free, because you're acting from reason, not impulse, from autonomy, not heteronomy. You're the author of the law you follow.
This is beautiful and influential. Kant basically invented the modern idea of human dignity, that you can't use people as mere means because they're autonomous, rational agents. But here's the problem. How often are you actually reasoning from pure rationality? Most of your choices are driven by emotion, habit, unconscious bias, social pressure, biological drives. Kant's autonomous rational self might be real, but it's fragile. What's fascinating is that Locke, Rousseau, and Kant are all trying to solve the same problem. Locke fears tyranny, so freedom becomes protection from power. Rousseau fears inequality, so freedom becomes participation in collective self-rule. Kant fears impulse itself, so freedom becomes mastery over your own desires. 3 philosophers, 3 definitions, and each reveals a different dimension of what it means to be free. Freedom from domination, freedom through citizenship, freedom through autonomy. The Enlightenment didn't give us a single answer. It gave us a debate we're still having today.
The modern world inherited all 3 visions. When we talk about human rights, we're speaking Locke's language. When we talk about democracy and the will of the people, we're speaking Rousseau's language. And when we talk about dignity, responsibility, and acting according to principle rather than impulse, we're speaking Kant's language. We often think freedom is one idea. The Enlightenment suggests otherwise. It may be one of the most complex ideas we've ever invented. And perhaps that's why we're still arguing about it. Because every generation inherits the same question. What does it really mean to be free?